Hi everyone, I am back with a new video and this is going to be a redraw challenge. So I first saw this challenge making its rounds on DeviantArt, then on Instagram, and then on YouTube, and I really like the idea of comparing your old art with your new art and just seeing the development and progress. I feel like it's really uplifting and it also gives you motivation to keep going. So that's why I wanted to do it. And I decided to redraw the dress from my very first video here on YouTube. I don't know, it just seemed fitting since it was a really old drawing from 6 years ago. And I still liked the concept it had, as well as some elements in the drawing. I mean, I didn't really like the drawing anymore because obviously the style and technique was rather naive, but I thought the dress was nice and had potential to be drawn again. So the aim was to draw the same dress and, as much as possible, keep majority of the artistic choices I've made then, but make minor adjustments to them to obviously show and put into use the new knowledge that I have gained over the years, like 6 years to be exact. Because the thing is, when I was sifting through my old artworks and choosing between them, I found myself wanting to change almost everything in the old drawings, which I mean wouldn't really be a redraw challenge. So I really wanted to choose an old drawing that I still liked, but thought it was just lacking, like maybe it was lacking on the technique or on practice. The drawing was from 2010, and surprisingly, I still remember what I was thinking when I made the drawing. I mean, it was a fairly simple concept of lilies on a blue fabric to resemble them floating on a pond or something. Yeah, it was straightforward enough to capture that idea into the new drawing. So my main focus was on how I was going to use the materials that I've been using in my recent videos to create a fashion illustration. I don't know if some of you might remember, but it was a couple videos back I mentioned that I was taking a break with fashion illustration or creating a fashion design collection because I just wasn't feeling it anymore. Like my art was changing and it didn't seem to fit with the style I've been using in my fashion illustrations, so it seemed appropriate to take a break. So in this video, I'm kind of experimenting with watercolors and ink and how I can apply that to fashion illustrations. Though this video isn't supposed to be like my comeback to fashion illustration. I'm not saying that from here on I'll be doing these types of drawings more frequently or that I'll be creating a collection once again. I just wanted to see how the techniques that I've been experimenting with could be applied to a fashion illustration and whether I like it or not. I mean, so far, I'm really happy with how this turned out, but at the same time, I keep looking at the finished artwork and it doesn't look me. Like, does that make sense? It doesn't look like I'm the one who made it. I don't know. Like, I can't believe all of the decisions I've made turned out the way that I wanted it. I mean, watercolors have never been my strongest suit, and every time I use them, I'm never 100% satisfied with the way it turns out. But then I guess I have been using them, especially in my recent videos, so I guess that shows how practice has made me more comfortable with the medium, or that it shows a bit of maturity in the way that I handle them. I don't know. I just can't believe it, I guess, or maybe I just didn't have a really high expectation with this drawing to begin with. I suppose I was expecting to draw it again or something, so it would be like a redraw of a redraw, but it worked out the first try, and I think that's what's overwhelming, is that it worked out the first try. Yeah. Though I'm not saying that the entire process was smooth from start to finish. I mean, there were a couple bumps or mistakes that I had to fix throughout the process. For example, I had troubles with making the lilies stand out, especially towards the bottom of the dress where the blue is supposed to fade into a darker color. And because I was using watercolors, they are transparent, so the lilies kind of blend into the skirt. And I remember thinking that I should have used a masking fluid, but I was too lazy, so yeah. I ended up using gouache instead, mixed with watercolor, so it would still have that transparency because I was afraid that the texture of the gouache wouldn't fit with the overall aesthetic that the watercolors gave. And I actually found that once I added the black ink to the bottom of the dress, it made the lilies pop the way I initially wanted. So it worked out in the end. I actually really like looking at the drawings side by side because they're so different. And that difference is what the challenge is about, I guess. I mean, I did make changes to the pose because in the old drawing it looked too stiff. So with the new drawing, I wanted it to be more deliberate, and also I tried to use the pose to enhance the dress. That's why I had her hand extend out, kind of mirroring the flow of the dress. As for the technique that I used, I kept both the line work and the coloring to be loose. So I deliberately painted outside the lines just because I've always liked how that looks with watercolors. But when I've tried it in the past, there's a tendency for it to look forced. But yeah, with this one, I suppose the practice paid off because, like I've already stated, I am happy with how things turned out, including the way the watercolors acted on the paper. It looks controlled, but not, if that makes sense. Like, I'm still not confident with watercolors. There are times when I'd try a technique and it wouldn't work. Then there are times when it would work. And I guess this one is one of those times. I don't know. It's like, all I know is I wanted to achieve a drawing where every mark of the pen or of the brush looks like it's meant to be there, and that every stroke was intentional, even if it's not. Like, it would look as if I knew how to use and manipulate the medium to create the strokes and marks that I wanted. Hopefully I achieved that with this drawing. I mean, my favorite part has to be the top of the dress because the layers of blue and that white strip just really reflects what I wanted. Yeah, hopefully in the future when I use watercolors, I'd be more confident, and hopefully that confidence can also show through my work. And yeah, I think that this is almost where I want my style to be, but of course that wouldn't mean that I should stop experimenting or exploring new things. There's still so many things that I want to work on, and still so many things for me to learn, but it's just nice to see the growth because of this challenge. So if you've done a similar challenge and posted it on your Instagram or something like that, feel free to tag me. I'd love to see improvements as well. It's always very motivating because it's a visual representation of all your hard work and practice and all the mistakes you've made and essentially learning from them. So yeah. And that is pretty much it. I did enjoy this challenge a lot, and I hope you guys also enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. You can also check out my other accounts, which are always linked in the description box. I've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.